All right, this is the first episode of the yet unnamed podcast. We have Aaryn Lindow
Hey, what's going on, man?
from Edison Hollow, Glass Chimera, and a future punk band at some point.
Yeah, hopefully at some point.
Cool. So I want to get right off with questions. My idea for this podcast is sort of based around the idea of success and attaining it and working towards it. So my first question would be, what is your relationship to success? That's kind of a broad question.
Yeah, it's weird because like my relationship to success has always been like I don't even consider myself successful. I still think I'm like striving to be successful, you know. But I think the main thing about success is that you just like failure's the greatest teacher, you know. So you learn through the failure, and eventually you'll find success on the things like because you learn to avoid what not to do and things like that. So, but I attribute like success to really two things, and it's just hunger and determination. Like you have to like, well, instead of determination, let me say vision. Like you got to be able to see like where you want to be and where you want to get, and not necessarily like how you're not going to know how to get there at first, for sure.
If you did, then you would be there.
Yeah, exactly. So, but like if you have a good idea of where you want to get and you truly like want to get there, I feel like those are the two main factors that can really help you become successful. And I think those like you can hear anybody say like, oh yeah, I want to do all these things, I want to be the biggest band in the world and stuff like that. And it's like, yeah, you can say all these things, but like if you don't put in the work, those are just words.
Yeah, and also I feel like a goal like that, like so obviously you weren't gonna know the whole path ahead of time, but the more well-defined goals you have along that path, the easier it is for you. So just to say, oh, I want to be like a successful band, like that does nothing for you.
Exactly. Everybody wants to be successful.
Yeah, I mean, so you have to define like what that means to you. You have to figure out like what concessions you're willing to make to get there. There's a lot involved.
And that's one thing I've been finding out too, is like, especially in the music industry and like the things that like we're all trying to do, there's definitely like an element of failure. There always is, like to get to the successful point. And what I'm slowly learning is that like instead of always going in blind to these situations, if you kind of like take those moments to take a step back and you know really assess the situations, I think it helps you not necessarily prevent the loss, but you're more in control of where your losses go. And I think it's a really important thing to be able to do. Like, you know, yeah, we lost out on getting paid on the gig, but we had the merch with us and we sold some shirts. So, you know, it may be 2 shirts, but you know, it's better than nothing. Yeah.
And not being so hung up on what the failure is, or like the main failure that you might see, but in that specific situation that you're talking about, looking at your merch and going, okay, we sold 2 items, but we had someone come by and maybe buy something, but there was nobody there, so how can we improve on that?
Yeah.
And not getting hung up on the gig.
Oh, absolutely.
In general.
Yeah, if you get hung up on the stuff like that could be very detrimental in the long run.
You have to be looking around at what you can't learn all the time.
Absolutely. Everything, no matter good or bad, is always going to be a learning experience one way or the other.
So that kind of leads into the next question. What failures have you had that stick out in your mind, and how have you learned from them, or did you learn from them?
Oh, man. Oh, I mean, definitely, you know, just like, especially like when I was first starting out in one of my former bands, the Running Yellows, getting caught up in the cycle of like these just terrible pay-to-play shows where it's like, you know, we're gonna get radio promotion, and you just got to sell these 25 tickets to, and stuff like that, and like that cycle taught me real quick that like especially the new bands, people will take advantage of you. They will try to take advantage of you, and if you don't have the insight from like another person, or like the awareness of like how shitty some of these contracts with air quotes that they make you sign, that can really it can really be a deterring factor. And it definitely like taught me a lot, just for the pure fact of like just having people try and take advantage of the fact that you're a new band. It's like, oh, I'm gonna get my cut out of this new band because I don't know that this pay to play is bullshit, so I'm gonna make them try and sell these 25 tickets, but since they're a new band they can only sell about 10, but now they're signed on to this bullshit contract with me, so they have to pay $300 to play this show with a bunch of mixed-matched bands with a promoter that doesn't even give a shit about the show, and a venue that's indifferent.
Yeah, that's one big thing that I've started to learn a little bit recently, is playing better curated shows, or just curating them yourself.
Yeah.
Like, because even if it's not so blatant as like a shitty pay-to-play show, some people just set up shows because it's like, oh, well, it's a chance to play, but that's a lot of the time, like, the bands don't meet up, and nobody really has any fun. There's people outside smoking for half the bands.
Exactly, because like it's bands that don't know each other, and it's one thing to have like a mostly put together show with that one band that's kind of like a little out of the sandbox, but everybody's feeling the vibe and it's good, but like when you got like a doom band playing with a pop punk band, and then rappers and an acoustic solo artist, that's just a bad time, and no one's gonna give a shit.
The rapper thing is the worst, and I don't know, I mean, it's probably universal across the country, but I feel like Detroit maybe might have it bad, or worse than other places, because it's known for rock and roll, but it's also known for hip hop.
Yeah.
And it's got that weird dichotomy going on. And some people genuinely think, oh, I'll put together like a blender, like a hip hop and rock show all in one. It's gonna get everyone out, like everyone that likes any genre is gonna come out. But that's not how it goes.
No, not particularly, though. I do have to say I've seen it go both ways. Because one of my favorite things is, like, I got my come up in the punk scene. So I used to go see and participate in some shows where you'd have a bunch of, like, hardcore bands and a bunch of rappers. And honestly, like, when it's right and the crowd is willing to accept what it is, it's a beautiful thing to see all the hip-hop kids moshing with a bunch of dudes in fucking studded jackets and stuff. Like, it's really cool, but then I've seen it go really bad, and it's like...
I've only ever been a part of it going really bad, but it going well sounds actually really nice and
it was
beautiful.
Super sweet. The first time I was really turned on to it is, so there's this band that was on Odd Future's label called Trash Talk. They're this crazy... hardcore band from Sacramento, California, and it was them, Build and Destroy, Zaloopers, and one other rapper, and that was really the first show that I had seen where it went over well, and it was honestly just insane. Like, Trash Talk it was at the Majestic, and Trash Talk played in the center of the floor in the crowd.
Oh shit.
Then everybody else did that, like all night, because that's where Trash Talk stuff was just set up all night.
That's really cool, actually.
It was honestly, it was pretty sweet to see. But then they're like, and now on the other side of things, I saw a similar thing try to happen at, I can't remember what venue it was at. It was it might have been the old Sanctuary, but I can't 100% say that. But they tried doing the same thing, like something within the same idea, and man, like, there was fights, like the show got shut down early. Only one hardcore band played, like a rapper opened, one hardcore band, and one more rapper. And that third rapper was just like, I don't know who the fuck put this together, but fuck these rock and roll motherfuckers. And
and people get defensive and territorial.
oh, dude, it was just not a good time. And so, yeah, I got out of there after that because then all the fights started and people are just like getting all, chest puffed out and that stupid
Sounds
stuff.
ridiculous shit anyway.
Yeah, it was, I think in that context, you have to know the demographic of each band and what kind of crowd they appeal to. A great example would be Danny Brown. Like, how many people do you know that are into psych rock that also listen to Danny Brown? Because I know quite a few, and it's honestly pretty funny.
Yeah.
But you have to find those rappers that have the ability and understand how to appeal to the crowds to make that crossover happen. You can't just it has to be a very formulaic approach in those kind of crossover contexts.
Yeah, and you can't just be getting anyone that will play the show. I feel like with something like that, you almost have to be a semi-well-known promoter or booking
Absolutely.
person. Otherwise, you weren't going to be able to get the right acts to play that show.
And everybody is always going to be like, oh, yeah, that sounds sweet, let's do it, let's build the community. But a lot of people, I guess, for lack of a better term, could just be, trying to clout chase in that context.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to, like you said, be very choosy and really know.
Sort of to tie on to the last question, what success have you had? Or what things have happened to you that you deem as successful?
Honestly, and this is kind of a weird thing, but I had to file taxes last year, and I got to claim a bunch of music stuff on my taxes. And I thought that was kind of cool. I was claiming gas money for gigs and drumsticks. I claimed my cymbals on my taxes.
Ooh, that's a big one.
Yeah, I know. That was pretty cool. It's so stupid, but hell yeah, But honestly, success for me in the context of music is when I go out there and I put out material or I go play a show, if I can get, that one person to, at the end of the night, that comes up to me and is like, I could have stayed home tonight and my night would have been the same as any other, but, I made a conscious decision to come out to this show, and I truly feel like, I got my money's worth, and, and they just, enjoyed it, and they had a good time enjoying themselves, and that, to me, is a night fulfilled. Because that at the end of the day, that's all I want to do. Just because of looking at all the things that music has done for me personally, whether it's lyrics that have gotten to me in one way or another, or just looking back on shows that I've been to that night, that night was sweet, and those kind of memories and the fondness of all of those things. If I can provide that for even one person, that's fulfilled for me, and I hope I can do that for as many people as humanly possible.
That's a really beautiful way to look at it, because I sort of have a habit of being a little too forward thinking, in that when people come up and tell me that, I'm like, that's awesome, but my mind doesn't go to, that's awesome, that's great, I'm so glad you had a good time. It's that's awesome, we got a new fan. But then my mind instantly goes to, all right, that's one more. What's one mean? It's I instantly get negative about it. Yeah. Really quickly, as opposed to sort of
But the way you got to see it is
simmering in that positivity.
Even if it's only an addition of one, it's still an addition nonetheless.
Exactly.
And that's always the way, because I'm sure you guys have, especially with the way music is commoditized now, or whatever the proper word for that is. It's not like how it was, and it's kind of hard to get people out to shows these days. So, just also with not only having your music get those people to have those good times and that fondness and invigorate the nostalgia and all those things like that, but also keeping relevant the idea that a show is still a viable form of entertainment in the age of sound bites and music videos and like and all that stuff, which I'm not saying is a bad thing, because like I love seeing clips, especially of you guys. I love your guys' like home videos and stuff. But we're very close to, I feel like, losing the aspect of a live performance in some certain ways. Especially you see like these pop artists touring the country, and it's like $200 for nosebleed tickets. That doesn't incentivize bringing people out to shows. That's a money grab.
Yeah. Well, and even for bands like King Gizzard, when they start to play bigger venues, I don't know what it is, but they charge more money. And even if you were to talk to the band members, like, hey, what, like, I could hardly afford to come to this show. Like, what's up with that? Like, 2 years ago it was $20 for like the Magic Stick. But I feel like part of that is just the nature of the bigger venues, because they're unionized.
Yeah,
and
more
like,
operating space to, more working parts at play in those bigger venues, which it does make sense. But things like Ticketmaster and shit like that definitely don't help, where they hit you with a convenience fee or a service charge that's practically half the price of the ticket added on to the full price of the ticket.
Yeah, that's it.
It's so stupid.
I sort of had more to say about that, but I forgot what it was, so I'm gonna move on. This is I didn't think this question out a lot. So I'll leave it up to your interpretation.
Okay.
Do you feel that you can think limits or obstacles into existence for yourself?
Oh, dude, absolutely. I feel 90% of my own problems just from the sheer amount of like, because like that's the thing with me, and that's why I always have like 10,000 projects going on at a time. I'm like always writing, because like I just like, my brain's just constantly firing at like 10,000 miles an hour, and it's just like I want to get all of this out of me, but like I just like I think the nature of overthinking in at least my own personal case gets in my own way, and like just especially with like Glass Chimera, we've run into a couple walls of like trying to get new material done, but it's like, I don't know if I can nail this part, but we want to play it at the show this week. And so like I can nail the part at practice, but I'm like still like I don't know if I want to play it, like
like the fear of failure in front of people.
Yeah, the fear of failure, and like if you mess up in front of a crowd, it is what it is. I've fucked up plenty of times in many different ways on stage, but for me, the biggest part, especially about a performance, is like I set like sometimes unrealistically high standards for myself, and like for the things that I want to present, because it's just something that I'm like very passionate about and I care about, and things like that. And even like before Dom went away, we were like in the studio like trying to do all these things, and I really wanted to do it to a click track, because I did the Edison Hollow record to a click track, but for Glass Chimera, like the time signatures are all over the place, and our engineer, he's a kind of old school dude, so he's like, if you can't play it in one take, you're not.
What's the point?
Yeah. But here I am trying to do a 9-minute song in one take, and I'm on take 8, and I gotta fucking nail, like, it's just this.
Was it on tape?
No, but well, kind of. His setup is half digital, half analog.
So he would like have it go onto tape and then onto his DAW.
Yeah, and so there's punching in was not an option, and it was like, if I had to pinpoint, like it was a mixture of the click and like also just the part, like I think the song just at a certain part naturally accelerates, because we all just get really hopped up on the energy of what's coming up. It's that Aching Head song that we did all the djembe jams and stuff. Yeah, that song, that song completely whooped my ass in the studio. But like just overthinking take after take, I think kind of slowed things down in that context.
Yeah, that's why in the studio I like doing full band recording all at once, because it takes out a lot of that overthinking.
Yeah.
Because it might not take it out so much as it forces you to accept your mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
Because your bandmates will force you to accept those mistakes, because they're like, no, you don't understand. This take was actually amazing because of this, and you're like, fuck, you're right.
Exactly.
So I have to accept that my attack wasn't right on these few notes, which.
Oh, absolutely.
And then in the long run, after it's mixed and mastered, you're like, I'm glad I went with that.
Yeah. I've had not necessarily for things that I've recorded for like any particular band, but like with the Scapes and everybody, like we have jams all the time at the house, and every once in a while our buddy Brad will come over with his Tascam, and we'll just hit record on some room mics and see where the night goes. And on some of the recordings we've had some of the goofiest transitions and some of the sweetest like grooves come out of like just absolutely like stupid dumb mistakes that like I'll trip up and like put myself in like a groove that or like a Philly groove that I can't really get out of, so I just stop playing for a second, and everyone just kind of fades away. And then, like, Noah will pick up with, like, a bass line, or Ross will just, like, start going on the guitar or something like that, Yeah. So I love improvisation in that nature. I think I feel more pressure when I'm trying to record, like, predetermined material and, like, things that are more fleshed out. Because improvisation, you can't mess up. I mean, you can mess up, but, like... It's way more forgiving.
Yeah, but my high school jazz teacher said there's no wrong notes, only bad choices.
Yeah, exactly. The wrong notes make it jazz.
Or no, it was only worse choices.
Yeah. I like that.
Yeah, I think there's something we were talking about, I believe, on Saturday, where it's better to not let things stew so long that they just kind of like fall into place. Like, it's better to record things when they're a little bit hot.
Yeah. I go back and forth on that a lot, but I it's weird because I agree with both sides of it, because it's like when you record it like super fresh, you capture the initial idea of what you were going for. But then also, like, what Edison Hollow is experiencing with our album is, we recorded the album, like, over the summer or something like that. I can't even remember, honestly. And I feel like I didn't take quite enough time on drum tracking. I finished drum tracking for that album, like, 5 hours. And... we've had now ample amount of time to like sit on the songs and like really like assess the material and like think about the parts that we chose and stuff. And there's been quite a few changes to some of the songs on those albums where I wish we would have captured them on the album, because I think it represents the song better. But also I go back to like the recording being the initial idea and the live performance being like almost the final product,
Yeah, or like the not even final, but like the thing that's still alive. It's like,
yeah, that's where it is right now, but it might change.
It's like you took a snapshot of something, but it's still going to keep growing. Or I mean,
but I love music in that way, where everything, like, you can have something concrete and still keep it fluid like that. Like,
yeah.
The example that comes to mind, and the one that I really wish would have made it to the album, is the song that we opened with, where it starts out with that really stompy beat, and then it goes to the halftime for the second half of that. Those halftime sections of that song aren't on the album at all. That was me messing up at practice and like, damn, that's nasty. Yeah. Like, let's keep that.
Yeah, yeah, but like, I feel like in general, it's just better to have just to keep moving, because I don't know, it's better to keep moving and just get more stuff out than to like rehash older stuff.
Oh yeah,
So yeah,
absolutely.
that's the battle though.
Truly it is, cause like you're always sitting on riffs and like song ideas. Like, man, we have like in Glass Chimera, we have more music and concept than I think we realize.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's also part of the reason I talked about this with Scott the other day, is that like we all have, I think, a pretty clear idea of where we want the band to go, and it's definitely different between the three of us, but a lot of the concepts that we're shooting for are just like a little bit out of our range.
You mean like composition wise?
Yeah, composition and performance. Like there's drum parts that I have in mind for like some of the stuff that we're working on that I don't even truly know if I can play.
That's the worst when
I hate it. I hate it so much.
Like the only person you have to blame is yourself. You're
Yeah,
like,
I know. I'm
like,
why are my hands doing the fucking thing? Like, this is dumb.
All you can think about is like, well, there's that month I didn't practice at all. Shit, maybe I'd be able to play it now if I had fucking gone. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And Aching Head was like that. Like the crazy Mars Volta whatever part. Like that's the hardest drum section that I've ever written across the board for all the bands that I've ever been in. And I couldn't for the months that we were practicing that song before we ever played it live, like I only started actually getting that section right like close to like the first show that we played it at, like probably within like the week or two prior to that. It completely whooped my ass. It's a workout.
It's just fun to play live though, cause you're in that flow state where you're like you're just barely able to pull it off.
Yeah.
And that makes it so much more rewarding when you actually do it.
Oh, absolutely.
Like you're in the middle of it, like I'm fucking doing this.
Yeah, I just like that's when I actually wrote this on my snare. I'm trying to work on like bettering like my I guess stage presence, but like paying attention to the crowd and like really feeding off that energy, because when I play drums, when I practice, I'm always looking down. So I wrote on my snare drum, don't look down, so that when I catch myself looking down, it's like, all right, I gotta look back up and like look at my bandmates and like keep that like open interaction going. But for that particular part, I just gotta look down and just like it's like when you're in the like last like final stretch of a marathon on your bike and you're just like, fuck it, there's no one in front of me, I'm just gonna pedal my ass off until I feel myself hit the finish line.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what I gotta do for that.
Cool. Where was I? Oh, okay, this is another one. How important do you think it is to aim as high as possible, and how in your mind do you balance that with realism?
So I actually really like that question because I've been thinking about that quite a bit recently, and I don't want this to sound snarky, but you encounter, and I'm sure you guys have seen the same, but you encounter like some of these musicians in the scene, like new kids and like people that have been established for a while, and they're like, we're gonna be the fucking next biggest thing, like we just gotta keep playing these tiny shows and not promoting ourselves on the internet, and like those kind of things seem very unrealistic to me, because like it does happen in this day and age, but not everyone has the potential to go viral. That's just not the way it is. And I also like look at bands like Black Dahlia Murder and stuff like that, where they just like sheer force of will, like they truly like work their ass off. When I was practicing at this rehearsal space that they also practice at, like I used to be up there like 4 or 5 days a week, and their drummer was always there, and it's just him, and he would play for 6-7 hours at a time, just straight death metal, blast beats, double bass, like just working hard like every day. And I think that if you keep set small goals for yourself, like not even goals, I think of them more as milestones. Like, this is where I am right now, this is where I want to be in a year, I'm going to figure out how to get there, and by the end of this year I will be there. But it's not, but you also have to be like brutally fucking honest with yourself.
Yeah, especially with individual practice. That's the hardest part, is going like I have this thing I do where I have a set amount of time where I've been practicing something for so long, and I'll move it up 5 BPM.
Yeah.
And I have it balanced pretty well to where it challenges me every so often, but I can usually pull it off.
Yeah.
But occasionally I'll just have to go, I'm playing this like 20 BPM too fast, and I'm making all kinds of fucking mistakes.
Yep.
And you have to force yourself to go, all right.
You gotta play slow and set that motion, baby.
I'm gonna slow it down fucking 30 BPM just to make sure I get every individual motion right, and go back up from there.
Oh, absolutely.
But it's that's fucking really tough to be that honest, because...
Oh, but it is tough, but like, you know, I think it's just one of the most important things a person can have, you know, like, you could say whatever the fuck you want to people, but like, you can't lie to yourself. You really can't. You have to be, not saying that lying is okay, but like, if you're gonna lie to everybody and like whatever, I guess if that works for you or whatever, do it. But you can't lie to yourself, because it sets up this like, that's how you end up with like a god complex, and you see people like fucking Danzig and stuff like that. But I just like, I see people all the time that like, yeah, like they walk around like they're gonna be like the next biggest thing, but they don't put in the work to do anything for that, or they just expect it to happen without any real effort, and that's just completely unrealistic.
Yeah, well, so there's the detachment from reality as far as yourself, but also being in a band, or like managing a band, or like just being part of a collective of people in general.
Yeah.
There's like the mindset that I think came from like the 70s and 80s, like the Van Halen era, where you genuinely were able to just grind out, 2 shows a night, 7 nights a week.
Oh, fuck yeah.
And like that shit was just available for you to do, and you could grind that out, and you would get better as a band by doing that. And there were people scouting for people, because they're like,
oh, absolutely.
We have all this money as a record label, let's fucking find some good talent. I think that mindset, or like that mantra of like put in the hours as a band kind of carried over, but it doesn't fit anymore in this, at least in this kind of scene we're in. Maybe in somewhere like San Francisco,
yeah,
where there are still a lot of shows to play all the time, and you'll never have an issue. It's different, but here, you have to be a little smarter, and you kind of have to be like your own individual little businesses.
Oh, absolutely. And you have to know, you have to know your demographic, and you have to know how you want to operate, because I feel like every band operates differently, but the bands that know how they want to operate have a tendency to find more success. And also understanding, like, your area and like where you're at, Detroit and Michigan in general, it's a lot of working class people, so that's why a lot of people try and shy away. Well, not try, but they tend to shy away from weekday shows, because a lot of people are like on that 9-to-5 grind, and it's a lot of factory work and stuff like that. And then the weekends in the Midwest, there's always shows and things like that. But yeah, it's a weird thing. You got like, I can't always find the right words to explain it. You just like, it's something that if you pay enough attention to, you'll eventually pick up on it, and you just kind of know, you know.
What did you mean by bands that know how they want to operate will succeed?
So like everybody in the band, like, kind of knowing their role, I guess, in the cognitive functions of the machine, and that kind of goes back into the first question of like the hunger, you know. Like, if you want to make something happen, I'm one of those people. I truly believe if you want to make something happen, you'll make it fucking happen one way or another. Like, when we were recording that album, yeah, I'll pick up that second job and I'll work 60 hours this week so we can, you know, pay for the mastering and the recording and stuff like that. Or in my case, you know, working 2 jobs, 2 bands, just to, like, try and, like, buy my cymbals so that I could get in the studio, like, get them for when we went to record that album. And, like every, you can't be divided as a band, like, in the way, like, you know, you can't have, like, you know, 2 people like, yeah, like, we're all gung-ho for it, but then you got one other dude that's like, yeah, I don't know, I want to try and, like, go off the beaten path this way, you know, like, instead of writing songs, you know, let's fucking paint or something like that, and, like, try it, and, like, generally just do something that, like, takes away from the common goal of everybody involved in the band.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Cause, like, I'm always one for branching out, but especially in the way that I run my bands, it's there's the common goal of what we all expect of our, like, the common goal of what we expect our work to produce always takes precedence over anything else that we could possibly do as a band. So, you know, if we want to write that new song, but we get a show offer, you know, then we sit down and it's like, would you rather have that as a practice to work on the new song, or do you just want to sit on the same material that we've been playing, that it's not that we don't want to play it anymore, but we just want more material?
Mm-hmm.
And, like, making those kind of conscious decisions, especially, like, with all of us being on different schedules, and like, me and 2 bands, and Scott also with the Scapes, you know. This is more in the context of Glass Chimera, but finding a way to consolidate that into something where we're not stretching ourselves too thin, and like, not stretching ourselves too thin, but still making some form of progress in one area or another. And, like, you're going to lose out, and that's another thing, like, you're going to lose out on one of those things. Say you pick the show, now you're losing out on a practice where you could potentially finish writing that song.
Yeah, and but if the show's garbage, or, you know, if the show doesn't meet everyone's expectations, then you lose out on the morale that you would have otherwise gained from creating.
Yeah, exactly. Or but then the same thing could be said. Let's say, all right, let's stay home and try and flesh out the song,
and that doesn't go well.
Yeah, it doesn't go well. Like, you don't make the progress you wanted to, or, and I think this is the best worst case scenarios. You finish the song and you're really proud of it, but you also missed out on playing a really good show, which also sucks, because there's nothing more. I don't want to say disheartening, but, like, frustrating than missing out on, like, good show opportunities. And especially, like, with Glass Chimera being on hiatus, we've had to turn down quite a few pretty fucking sweet offers.
Yeah.
But that also, like, gave me more time to really set in with the Edison Hollow guys and, like, knock out a bunch of booking. And, like, man, I gotta give those guys props for a second, because, like, Tyler and Jordan, like, and even Dave, like with him bringing into the fold, but like the last year with just me, Tyler, and Jordan, man, those motherfuckers, like, they are ride or die for this shit. You know, like, they work their asses off to make this album happen. I mean, we all did, but those two especially. Like, we're working on saving up like for a tour van right now, and Tyler's like, yeah, I'll sell my trailer. Jordan's like, yep, I'll sell my jet ski, and I'm like picking up a bunch of hours at work and shit like right now. So it's just incredible. Like, these guys, like, they're so hungry for this. Like, we don't ever expect to like be like, you know, some crazy A-list celebrity, but you know, if I can sustain a living, and and this is kind of my personal and the kind of common goal of Edison Hollow, is if we can sustain our lives off of, you know, 2 or 3 tours out of the year, that's success to me. You know, I'm doing what I love. I don't have to work some bullshit 9-to-5 job that I fucking hate, like painting bathtubs. Yeah. And, you know, that's all I want at the end of the day. And I think that success in general is always going to be relative to the individual. And at the end of the day, and at the end of your life, you know, it's only you and what you've accomplished. And I am not going to be the motherfucker laying on his deathbed saying, damn, man, I wish I had more time. You know, I want to make sure that, like, I go out of this motherfucker as fulfilled as humanly possible to at least my own personal standards. And I don't want to feel like I've missed out on the potential of, what's the word I'm looking for? Like I don't want to miss out on like, I don't need, like, I'd rather have experience than money, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, that's all. You can't take your fucking money with you. I want to, like, I don't want to think about, oh man, I'm on my deathbed and I'm thinking, oh man, remember that one week where I put in 60 hours and made that $1,300? No, I don't want to fucking think about that. I want to think about the time that, like, I went on that tour and I, like, saw a Joshua tree because we wanted to go tour California, or I went to Arizona and hiked, or went to the East Coast and I was just eating po' boys with my bandmates, cold as fuck in our van, but fuck it, because, you know, we were trying to make a dream happen. That's my success, and that's just what I want at the end of the day.
That's really inspiring.
Thanks.
Fuck. Let me see. I got a couple negative ones. I'll skip those for now. This sort of ties into what you were saying. So how do you stay motivated when you feel like, not necessarily like it's not worth it, but how do you remind yourself that, oh, I do need to be doing, like, all of this work, whether it's like outside work or work like directly for the band? How do you remind yourself that that's worth it, I guess?
So full disclosure, I'm pretty fucking lazy sometimes when it comes to this shit, and I'm on the up right now. Like, I'm killing it in my booking, but like, while we were recording the album, like, all sites were on that, and I was like, I don't give a shit about booking anything. Like, it's all secondary. But then for me, I just got to remind myself that, like, you can't come from a selfish place, you know. It's different if you have other band members that are like, yeah, I guess we'll play this show. But Jordan and Tyler, man, those guys, like, they want to be out there and they want to be putting in that work, and they just like I now I have to fulfill my own expectations, which are, you know, they can be high, and sometimes I'm just like, yeah, whatever, I don't really give a shit right now. But Jordan and Tyler, like, they're a huge motivating factor for me, because, like, I don't want to feel like I'm letting them down, because they're putting in, you know, just as much work as I am, at any given time into this project. And I don't want them to feel like their time is invaluable or that it's being wasted and things like that.
So yeah, it's important not only to surround yourself with people that are, in a lot of respects, more motivated than you or hungrier than you.
Oh, especially Jordan. Jordan will yell at me if I'm getting a little lazy. He's like, "Yeah, man, motherfucker, get on that shit." I'm like, "All right."
Yeah, like so. But it's not even just surrounding yourselves with friends like that, which is part of the reason I want to be doing this. Is just to surround yourself with motivated people, but to have people around you that rely on you and who are more motivated than you to pull you up when you're like, oh, I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's a huge thing, especially with Edison Hollow. Like, I have the means, but I don't always have the motivation. And for them, it's kind of the opposite, where they are 100% fucking motivated. Like, I don't even have to ask them if they want to play a show. When we get offers, I'm just like, hey, we're playing this show, and I just get okays, you know.
Really?
Oh yeah. David's we're kind of adjusting to that because David's in 3 bands, so I have to remember to, you know, pop in the band group chat once in a while. But for a while when we were just 3-piece in it, I just show up at practice like, hey, so these are the shows we're playing. Hope you guys are free.
And they trust you to curate the shows, not to book like some hunk of shit.
Yeah, and so I'm actually kind of going through a thing with that right now, and this is kind of a thing that bugs me about some of the bands around here, and I get it to an extent, but like, regardless, you know, of your likes on Facebook or whatever, you know, however many albums you have, if we're still playing the same stages, I don't think any bands I'll never assume that we're too good to open up a show. There's shows that like I definitely wouldn't want to open, but you know, I'm not going to turn down a good lineup just for the sake of like the fact that we were offered an opening slot or like playing last or something like that. Like, you can't always have the money slot, and that's the way it is, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of where I'm at with that right now.
Yeah, staying humble and not getting too up your own ass about like, well, it's gonna suck if we gotta open.
Yeah, you know, not enough people are gonna see us. Well, fuck it. Yeah, but it may not be enough people because your people aren't gonna be there, but a smaller number of people that haven't seen you before that potentially will want to see you more could be there, you know?
Yeah. Well, it's interesting balancing that with the show being good in general, because I mean, I have a tendency to want to turn down shows if they're offering us a shit slot.
Yeah, well, but then again, like, that all depends on like who you're playing with, I feel.
Yeah, I mean,
because like the other night when we opened up at the Blind Pig, we'd never played there before, and like we were talking outside, you know, it wasn't particularly like ideal, I guess, for us to be in the opening slot, but I just wanted to be on that show regardless, and I'm like, fuck it, you know, I love playing with you guys. I love Electric Holdera.
Mm-hmm.
Los Drogas was sweet too, and you know, why would I want another band to be on that bill if I could be on that bill regardless of the slot? That's the way I'm starting to look at it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. If the offer's coming from a friend or someone that you know, and the bands on the bill are bands that you like.
Yeah.
I could see it being more worth it, because I was sort of like questioning myself for a second, like, am I getting too uppity about, damn, like, how many shows have we turned down? But
yeah,
I do feel like a lot of the time, I mean, maybe this is me justifying it, I don't know, but I feel a lot of the time it's shows that are like, it's a bunch of pop punk bands, because we have a bunch of friends in the pop punk scene.
Oh yeah, for sure. Same
and
here.
I mean, there's a huge pop punk scene in this area anyway.
Yeah, that's like all it is now. It's fucking pop punk and these knocked loose clones. but that's a whole nother good conversation.
A whole separate podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, go on. Sorry.
Oh no, you're all good. But I was just gonna say, to top it off, like, it's one thing if, you know, you have like a newer band or like a bunch of old dudes like, yeah, we're fucking rock and roll stars, and like our wives are gonna come out and see us play, so we gotta make sure, you know, we got that 10 o'clock slot. Will you guys come open? For some shit like that, I'm gonna be like, all right, probably not. But you know, if I got my boys in Strange Flavors and the Scapes and fucking Lucid Furs, or, you know, whoever else, Black Heron, and they're like, hey, we need you to open up that show, I'll be like, you know what? I love you guys. Yeah, I'll come open that show. No problem.
Yeah. I'm not even sure how to phrase the sentence in my head, but just it's about respect for your peers and respect from your peers.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, and then there's two ways to look at it. You can have those people that are like, yeah, we just need some fucking throwaway opening band, or the people like, I guess, us, where when I put together a lineup and I see when you do it too, you really fucking care about the bands that you're putting together for that night to set the mood throughout the night. And that's a huge thing, because like going back to the fucking those pay-to-play Blender shows when you got the acoustic artist playing with the fucking Doom band, fuck that.
Yeah.
That makes no sense. And
it's no fun for anybody, because music is an art and art is subjective. When you put together such a wide range of genres, no matter how many people that like everything other than rap and country are there, there's people that aren't gonna like a handful of those genres that are playing.
Oh, absolutely. And it's the people that are there for that solo acoustic artist are gonna hear one fucking note come out of that Doom band. They're gonna be like,
over and over again.
Fuck that. And then you got an empty room because the Doom band ruined it for everybody, as they do.
This is a cover of Dope Smoker.
Yeah, exactly.
But like, it's not even about emptying the room so much as it. There's bands that I've heard that might not even be bad objectively, that make me feel like music sucks. Like, have you ever had that feeling?
No, I know exactly what you're talking about.
And if you put together a show full of a bunch of different genres, a lot of the bands are going to go on stage feeling like that.
Oh,
and
yeah,
it's
sure.
It's going to take away from what they could have presented.
Yeah,
at their best.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but I wonder if that's like a universal feeling among people that play shows.
Just like, man, this is how bad it can be sometimes.
And then you've had the opposite, where I invited my friends Civil from DC. They drove just to play a show at the Ghostlight.
Oh, no shit.
They opened the show at the Ghostlight. They drove from DC just for that shit.
Oh my god.
And they but this is before I saw Glass Chimera. They were the best small psych rock band I've ever seen, and I'm not saying that just to blow smoke up your ass about Glass Chimera. I legitimately think Glass Chimera is an amazing psych band.
I appreciate that. I love you guys as well.
But Civil put like so much energy in all of us. It blew my mind, and then we went on stage primed, like, let's fucking burn this down.
Yeah. There was a band, so this band actually played after us, but Edison Hollow played with the Lucid Furs at the Sanctuary. Couldn't fucking tell you when, months ago. But I had both of those things happen at this particular show, and I'm not gonna name names about the bad one, but they covered Sweet Child of Mine, and I want, like, the collective groan that was coming from the crowd was pretty funny. But then the band after them, I'm gonna shout these guys out hard as fuck right now. There's this band in Ohio called Salvador Ross, and they are completely mind fucking good.
Where in Ohio?
Oh, I want to say Toledo, maybe.
Okay.
I could be wrong. I'm trying my best. Like, I want to bring them up here and have them play with us, like us, Strange Flavors and Edison Hollow, because they are energy on riffs, on great songs, on just general badass fucking tunes, man.
They're from Dayton.
Dayton,
Ohio.
okay, yeah. I don't know much about Ohio, because I kind of fucking hate Ohio for no real discernible reason other than the fact that I'm from Michigan.
This sort of goes back a little bit to what we were talking about earlier. I don't know if it's just the friend group of the people that I know there, but Cleveland seems to have like a legit like supportive music scene where like people will just come out to shows because there's a show. You know what I mean?
I've heard the same thing. I'm trying to pull some Cleveland connects right now because I've never played in Ohio before, and I really want to get down there and like start scoping it out and getting the Edison Hollow boys like primed for a tour. Because like I've never toured with any of my personal bands. I've filled in for other bands on tour, like on drums and stuff. But I've never, but like those are already bands that like know what touring is, and you know, Jordan and Tyler they've played out of town shows, and they did like a weekender in like Wisconsin years ago, but like getting them real ready like for what touring is going to be for us and stuff like that. And so I just want to start like getting our branches out in other states like that. We got Wisconsin pretty on lock with our friends in 20 Watt Tombstone. Shouts out to them. But they just like, they're hungry. I want to get them on the road. I want to get on the road with like my actual band, you know, because I feel like that's going to be really fulfilling, like getting on the road with our best friends. And you saw the music video, you know, just driving up north to play that festival, which I actually got to talk to you about something after we finish this up.
Okay.
But yeah, dude, like I just want to be on the roads with my best friends in the whole world. As lame as that sounds, it's true.
It sounds cheesy as fuck, but
it's the greatest. It's the most wholesome thing ever when you're all just kind of poor and a little bit starving.
It's fun. It's stressful. It's all that together. But it's like some of the most memorable shit in my life has been exactly that. Like whether it's trying to tour or like the 9 months I worked at a kitchen where like everyone sort of hated each other, but like we were all in it together anyway.
Yeah.
And
like dinner rush is hitting. It's like, fuck you, Mark. Just get the goddamn fries in the deep fryer.
We're like an hour behind, and the ticket machine keeps spitting shit out.
Yeah, exactly.
But like as stressful as that is, like that sticks in my mind as like one of the tightest, like the most family-like thing I've had outside of my actual family.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And like, especially with like bandmates and just close friends in general, like that's the family you choose. Jordan, fucking Tyler, Dom, Scott, the people in the Scapes, like all those guys, like they're not even my friends anymore. That's straight family, dude. That's the family you get to pick. In my eyes, you know.
Well, it's sorry, go on.
No, I was just gonna say, just like there's just like this inherent loyalty between everybody, and especially like with Tyler, Jordan, and I, like we have had so many sit down conversations like this, just talking about like what we want out of the band, where we want this to be, and trying to figure out how the fuck we're gonna make it happen. And we're like all on the same page, like we're ready to fucking struggle together, and no matter how bad or how good it gets, you know, we got to keep our centers, and at the end of the day we're all there with a common goal and trying to help each other make this thing happen.
That's really important to have that that explicit trust, I guess. Yeah, that trust.
Yeah,
They
put so much trust in me. It's weird. Like at least for me, I really appreciate the sentiment, but it also like you were saying, that their motivation is bringing my motivation up and over, because now I have to satiate them, which motivates me more, because once it starts happening, like, okay, now this ball's rolling, let's fucking get it up the hill,
Yeah.
And just that kind of mentality, and applying it to pretty much fucking everything we do.
If I ever don't respond to something, it's probably just because I'm taking it in. Because some of the shit you're saying is like actually very inspiring to me.
I'd appreciate
I'm enjoying
that.
it.
These are just things like, it's kind of weird because I run my band like a homie, I try to, but like after every show or every practice, everybody gets a good practice tonight, boys, or like, you guys did great tonight, go get some sleep, like they get those kind of texts all the time. It's so goofy, but like I gotta make sure they know that they're appreciated, because we're all in this shit together, and they like reciprocate that to me, and I just want to make sure that like I reciprocate that back, by whether showing it in my gratitude for the amount of work to help realize this goal, because no one person has ever made a band successful. Like, even Stevie Ray.
Kevin Parker.
But, okay. Fair.
Sorry.
That was good. But, like, even Stevie Ray Vaughan, I'm sure he would have been fucking dope if you would have just slapped him with an acoustic guitar and no band, but he still had a band.
Yeah,
And that band consciously made the decision to, like, all right, we're just going to let this motherfucker do the work and we're going to groove.
This is interesting. Anyone listening, and you too, Bill Burr did a podcast with Stevie Ray Vaughan's drummer.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah, and it's interesting just because him talking about, like, how, like, it's sort of like a collaborative effort in the way that we have our bands.
Yeah.
But at the same time, he talked about Stevie as though he was like an otherworldly fucking monster. Just, he had one story about him just being on the tour bus, just fucking around with the guitar, and he was playing like he was playing to an arena full of people, like on the tour bus, like with as much soul and passion.
Oh yeah. That's what it's about. Like, that's how we practice. That's pretty much how we do it at practice, man. There are definitely the days where it's like, all right, we're showing up at work kind of tired, and we're just gonna hammer out practice today. But for the most part, like, when we practice in both bands, I try, and every time I fucking sit down behind that kit, no matter whether I'm playing in my basement for practice or I'm playing a show for a couple hundred people or whatever, I always try and play with that energy just so I'm constantly acclimated to it. Because, like, coming up in the punk scene, I'd practice and I'd be all regal about it. I'm like, yeah, all right, dude, we're getting through the song. And then the fucking show comes and I'm playing twice the speed at what we practice because I'm just like, oh my God, I'm on stage and there's like 10 people here. So, just like kind of finding the happy medium of where you can like consistency and where you want that to lay.
Yeah, and there's different modes to go into. Like, when you're going into the studio, maybe don't thrash around as much. Yeah. But at the same time, you don't want to just be like sitting on a chair playing. Like, no. You want to have that energy. You want to be able to feel with your whole body what you're doing.
You want to hear something funny?
What?
I still did the stick tricks while I recorded the Edison Hollow record. Yeah.
Did you ever hit one of the overheads?
No, thankfully, but I did break a stick during a take, and I think Kevin ended up keeping the take, and
that's awesome.
And it's on the record, yeah. It was during our song "Not Alone," but I'm pretty sure you can hear like me throw the stick across the room because it's like all wooden floor, and you just hear it like hit the ground.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but yeah, I was totally in there. Like, it'd be funny that no one's ever gonna know is if I did stick tricks while I recorded these drums. It was so stupid, but I thought it was funny. That was a really fun time.
Yeah, that's something that playing punk music. I don't know if like punk traditionalists would consider Nirvana punk, but
I consider Nirvana punk.
But like when Strange Flavors covered Breed, like
I forgot you guys did that. That's bringing back nostalgia.
Up until the song that we closed with, The Blind Pig, there was never an original song that made me feel the way Breed did. Like that song,
Just amps you up,
something
man.
about it just makes you want to fucking move, regardless of fuck if I play this wrong. Who gives a shit?
Yeah, it's all about the energy, and that's what I love about punk music. It can be so broken down and just visceral that like it's not always about the complexities though. The punk music that I typically enjoy is like that 90s skate punk, and like some of those bands like towards the end of that scene like started getting kind of progressive, like a Wilhelm Scream, where it got a little riffier and a little like indie, like elements of like indie rock was being brought into it. But just the overall visceral nature of punk rock is truly like just a crazy thing. We have alternate songs. Oh, not alternate songs, alternate versions of every single song that's on this record, on the Edison Hollow record. We have like our dance song, No More Lies. There's a reggae version of that song. Our ballad song about aliens, Not Alone, has a thrash punk version of it, and we're
on the record.
No, just this is because like we practice this shit so much, like when we were a 3-piece, that like it turned into this game where it was like, let's play the song and do all the appropriate changes because we know where all the changes should be. But like, it all started with our song "Pull the Plug." We did it as a jazz song, and we were just doing like the chorus riff and the opening riff are the same thing, and so Tyler just started playing the riff, and I just started like doing swing jazz, and from that we ended up playing through the entire song in a jazz rendition.
So, and you guys will occasionally just pull those out at practice.
Oh,
for fun?
More than occasionally.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah,
I feel like a lot of bands have done that, or at least Strange Flavors has done that on occasion. But we never thought to like do it just to keep things fresh.
Yeah, it definitely, especially like, we've actually played one of them live, the thrash punk version of the ballad song. We've played that live, I think, twice now.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, we busted it out at Grizzlies just to like, and that was more for like the people, because there's like a small group of people, the girls like Jordan's girlfriend, Tyler's girlfriend, like their friends, and some of my people that like come out to every single one of our shows. That was kind of more for them to like throw them a curveball,
Yeah.
And so, but like, I think we're actually probably gonna do it at the release show.
Cool.
Yeah.
Oh, and we're also doing Crow Manor together.
Yes,
No,
dude,
right?
I'm so excited for that. That's gonna be fucking so much fun. We're unfortunately David's gonna be out of town for that, so we're gonna 3-piece.
Well, it's good that you guys are able to do the 3-piece thing.
Oh, absolutely. There's just something beautiful about watching a 3-piece just fucking murder shit. And Jordan has this octave pedal, so like it produces a really cool tone. So it like sucks that we're gonna be down a member, but I'm also kind of excited to see how it's gonna turn out, because like right as we became a 4-piece, we like really locked in the 3-piece setup. So just to like.
Well, the 4-piece sounded really good, by the way.
Oh, yeah, I appreciate that. Like, honestly, I was against it. I was just like, why worry about, bringing in another person into the fold if we're like doing pretty well, as a 3-piece, and they're just like, you just got to see us as a 4-piece first. You got to hear it at practice. And we went through a couple different people that tried out for bass. The first of which was one of the co-producers on our record. His name was Phil. We call him Sexy Phil. He kind of looks like Omar Rodriguez Lopez and Cedric mixed into one person. He's got this big fro, really talented guitar player, also a really talented bass player. And he just learned our album because he was constantly working on the mix, And the first practice that the one thing that I immediately noticed is when Tyler and Jordan are both on guitars together, their vocal harmonies are better, and their playing is just like Dolphin's asshole tight. They are completely in sync. It's freakish. It's like twin syndrome. It really is. It's crazy.
That's interesting. I guess you just know the songs so well. Wow.
It was distracting to me. I'm playing and I'm like, damn, dude, Tyler's fucking murdering his vocals right now.
Why am I crying right now?
Yeah, these harmonies, where is this coming from? So, yeah, that was a super cool thing to see, and having that really come together is super fun.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt.
You're
it's
good.
Something that that became apparent to me through knowing this band from DC, Joint Operation, who their bassist is actually the same bassist from that band that came all the way for the Ghostlight show.
Okay.
His name's Jacob Nadeau. Shout out to him.
Woo-hoo.
Probably the best bass player that I know on a personal level.
Okay.
They're actually, I don't know how into reggae, bluesy stuff you are.
I love it.
Really?
Yeah,
you're coming to the fucking show with me then.
Okay.
Just to watch their rhythm section go, it's really good.
Dude, there's nothing better than just a ridiculously good rhythm section.
Okay, so
that quick side note, back to the rhythm section. Tyler and I were drooling over you and Gordon at that Blind Pig show.
Oh, thank you.
You guys were so in sync, and I was just like, God damn, that was super tight.
Gordon's been doing drums since he was in Drumline.
Yeah.
He was showing
he was showing off his marching stuff at your sound check, and I'm like, all right, we get it, just being a fucking dick to him.
It's just all right, all the rudiments.
Yeah.
1 minute or whatever. Yeah, he's.
But do you know what a paradiddle is? Because that's the only one I know.
Yeah, playing with Gordon's a treat, especially because he's able to do the crazy, stupid crazy time signature stuff.
Oh yeah.
But he's showing us shit where we're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
He has this one thing that we haven't made a song out of yet. He calls it Tomato Crackers. It's a 5/8 beat where the downbeat of every bar is the backbeat.
He was telling me about that. Yeah. Yeah.
So I want to make a song, or at least insert that into a song at some point, just because it's so groovy.
Yeah.
Within those 5 beats, you can do so much between the backbeat.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And then one of my favorite things to do, and I picked this up from punk music actually, is finding a way to start on a backbeat, and then within the same instead of it being contingent of a change, having it still be the same, I guess, part. So having a verse start on the backbeat, 2 measures in, you turn it around, and now you're just playing it straight. And if in the context of the right material, that can be the nastiest fucking thing ever. Mm-hmm. It's so sweet.
That's something that I liked about King Gizzard's thrash thing, Rat's Nest, because maybe it's just me not feeling it right because it's so fast and loose. Or it could just be because it's loose, but it feels
loose. It's tight loose though.
Yeah, it's like they didn't bother to get it perfect when they recorded it, and there's a bunch of fuck ups because they learned how to play thrash in a few months.
Yeah, they also played in like a ridiculous tuning.
Yeah, was it C sharp?
Yeah,
Standard.
Yep. That was that's what Trigger played in. But like
really?
it was, I want to say, it was like a C standard, but the top string was dropped to A. It was yeah, it was a super fucking weird tuning.
Well,
but C's really hard to play in. I've had two bands. So Trigger played in that weird like modified C standard tuning. If I could be completely wrong about that, at least. And then my Doom band before Trigger, Vicious Circles, we played in C standard.
Why is it hard?
I mean, I guess not. Well, I'm not a guitar player, so I can't really speak on it too much. But it seems difficult, like having like all those extra notes, like at play, and losing some of your higher spectrum stuff.
I can see that.
Especially like because Vicious Circles was only a 3-piece, and at the end of it was only a 2-piece. So you just have low end guitar, and there's no high end to it whatsoever. But there's no real low end, so it's this weird mid frequency.
Almost like a baritone guitar.
Not baritone though. But that's actually how I reconnected with Dom. He was going to be the bassist for that band before we decided to call it a day. And then he was just kind of sitting on the back burner for a while. Because I joined Trigger, and then after Trigger, Red Baron, now Edison Hollow. But I was like, fuck, I still really got to get this band going with this guy. And that was like, that motivation started Glass Chimera. And I was like, well, fuck, let's get Scott. You know,
Scott's a good guitarist too.
He is.
That blew my mind when I was like, "Holy shit, he's doing!" It was just really good.
Scott, I still don't have like a really good understanding of like pedals and shit, but Scott was like the first person, like the first guitar player that I like jammed with that really like turned me on to like the concept of like delay pedals and stuff like that, and like all the shit that like you can do with a delay pedal alone, never mind like layering that with like a bunch of reverb and wah and stuff like that to just get like super space cadet-y. I could go on and on, but like being in Trigger as a whole, like between Scott and Nick James is a evil goddamn genius when it comes to writing music. Being in that band completely revolutionized the way I not only interpret music, but more importantly, write and assess music. And, like, Scott and Nick both completely, like, changed the game for me in so many ways. Yeah. And then also bringing them into the fold with, like, the scapes and stuff like that. I was really happy that I was able to, like, make that crossover happen, because, like, for a long time, like, I had, like, my friends in, like, you know, the Lucid Furs and, like, all my Detroit friends on one side, and then on the other side, in the background, I had, like, all the Hate Less stuff, like, starting up, and when I joined Trigger, that all came together, and those worlds collided, and it's been awesome, like, ever since.
Yeah, the Scapes is a band, if I had more connections and I had the time, I would love to fucking be their booking agent.
Yeah.
Because, I travel a little bit with Sydney doing photography, and she'll just like drag me to shows that I might not have gone to otherwise. Like there's so many places and scenes that I'm like, the Scapes gotta play here. Funk is one of those genres, kind of like reggae, where you could play it at like a bar full of like racist fuckheads, and
they'll be like, all right,
all right, like it's just so. It's so happy, and it makes you want to move so much. And the Scapes do it so fucking well.
Oh, dude,
that like they could be like a legit touring band.
Oh yeah, for sure.
If they had a booking agent that like knew what the fuck they were doing.
Oh, absolutely. But it's also like in their case, I think they're also just really content, like not having any sort of pressure to do anything like that.
Yeah.
And like it shows that like they're really just like, a bunch of goofy kids that like just like really like nerdy ass like intricate like funky jazz music,
Yeah.
which is totally fine. I mean I love them for it all the same. But yeah,
it breaks my heart though because it's like, God damn, everyone needs to know about you guys.
Oh, I know. I feel like they're one of those bands though. They did a live in the studio. I'm not gonna name names because I wasn't too fond of the performance. Well, not the performance on their end, but like the mix that they did for this particular live in the studio performance was just terrible. And I feel like if they can get the right people recording them, which they're working on, and they can get like they're gonna be like one of those Wolfpack bands. I feel where they don't really. I don't think like the touring's gonna be secondary to them just putting out content.
Yeah.
I think they're gonna be one of those content bands because I think that's where the market for that stuff is right now.
Yeah. Well, this is not even super related, other than it relating to Wolfpack, but they sold out Madison Square Garden recently.
Oh yeah, dude! Did you see Nate Smith's drum set for that?
Their stage setup is what made me get that fucking carpet.
Dude, the thing that blew my mind is they sold out Madison Square Garden. The drummer Nate Smith, who is arguably one of the best drummers on the market right now, played with an 18-inch bass drum, a 10-inch snare, and hi-hats, and that's it. Nothing else. Like, tiniest drum set for Madison Square Garden sold out.
Didn't they also have like another drummer, or am I thinking of something else?
I don't think so. I could be wrong, but because they did the Fearless Flyers thing, right?
I don't really know anything about them other than that I saw that they sold out Madison Square Garden.
Yeah, I think it was the Fearless Flyers that sold out Madison Square Garden. That was like the 4-piece, but Nate Smith's the drummer for that, and all he uses for that entire album, small bass drum, snare, and
awesome.
hi-hats. Like, how good of, like, that's a power move and a half right there, brother. Like, selling out Madison Square Garden and then barely playing not even close to complete drum set.
That's something that always got me. I mean, about like the traditional touring setup where it's like two toms, crash ride, bass, snare, hi-hat, like the minimalist.
Yeah.
Minimalist, not compared to what he was doing.
Yeah.
But that always kind of blew my mind about like. I've seen bands do amazing things with that. And I'm like, fuck, really don't need a shitload of stuff.
No, you don't.
Like
I figured that out when I was like teaching myself how to play. I used to play 3-rack toms, 2-floor toms, all super angled because I really liked Avenged 7. I still really like it, but I loved
like a fucking.
I was a fanboy, and the Rev of the former drummer of Avenged Sevenfold is like the reason I became a drummer, and so I was like. Wanted to literally emulate him, so I had 5 toms, double bass pedals, like 10 cymbals. Like I wanted to be that dude and just going hard as fuck. And then I was like, when I was getting ready to like try and start a band, I was like, fuck loading all of that in.
Yeah.
So the way I set it up now is this is like I call it lazy capable, but my drum set is able to be loaded into a venue within 3 trips.
That's
smart. 1 trip for the stands, 1 trip for the toms and snare, 1 trip for the bass drum. And I can put my cymbals because I got that pack, so I get the backpack for my cymbals, so that's easy.
Nice.
Yeah. Lazy capable.
All right, we pretty much talked about all of your bands a little bit. What problems have you ever run into managing bands that you manage, or what restrictions have you run into with someone with a band like Trigger, where you didn't really, where you may not have had as much like pull as far as like managing them?
Oh, I totally did. I ran every single band I've been in besides my first one. I ran.
Oh, really?
I like, but like up until Vicious Circles, when I realized like, you know, I started this band, I'm the guy now. It was just kind of like a subconscious thing, but I'm gonna be frank with you. In my case, my fucking members disappearing. Dom in California, you know, Scott running off into the woods or wherever he goes, because he's like half wolf or some shit, I guess. But yeah, no, Trigger, I put in tons of work for them, and like they had really fallen off when I joined them, so but they also had like, they kind of have like a weirdly like almost cult following of people that like go and see them. It's kind of strange. It like, if they would have been more driven to like make more things happen for themselves, that band Trigger could have been going some places for sure. There was a lot of hype behind that band, because like I came into Trigger as a fan already. I was one of those people that was like that. That's what low-key like one of the sweetest bands like in Detroit. All because when Dan from the Furs was in Trigger, he's the original drummer. I don't know if you know that.
Okay.
Dan was the original drummer of Trigger, and I found out about Trigger because Dan and Scott had a side project called Wormhole, and it was, I don't even have the words to describe it. It was amazing. And Dan is a really good singer, and so watching him like sing and play drums, and then they like do this thing where like Dan would get up and go and start hammering on Scott's guitar pedals, and Scott had this portable record player that he'd just start like fucking with. It was a trip.
What the fuck?
Yeah, it was a trip. And so I that and then after that I found out, like, Dan told me about like, yeah, this is actually the side project. The real band's Trigger. And I was like, well, fuck, I want to hear Trigger. And I saw them. Completely blew my fucking mind, and they instantly became like one of my favorite bands like in the scene. And I can still say that to this day. Like, I listened to the Trigger CD on my way here, but top 3 bands in the Detroit scene for me are you guys, Commander, and Trigger. Well, and I'm not saying that because like I was in Trigger. Like I said, I was a fan of Trigger.
Yeah.
And so like when that was actually kind of, it was kind of sweet, because like I was kind of put in control of like one of my favorite bands. It was a weird situation, but it also like showed me like truly how passionate I had the potential to be, and like it opened up a lot of doors because they had already like a well-established following, and it opened a lot of doors that like I now still use to this day. Just from being in that band, like the people at the Ghostlight knowing me, and like Smalls, and being on like all the radars of these different venues because of Trigger. So I owe a lot of things to being in that band. And I'm still really glad that I'm friends with those guys. And I can't say much, but you haven't heard the last of them yet.
I want to see them now.
Yeah, I know. I hope. I think, because Trigger was a band for like 10 plus years. Damn. It wasn't always Trigger, but like Dan and Nick, like they wrote a lot of that stuff together, and they jammed for a long time together. But you know, after I left the band and like a bunch of things happened, like traction dropped off, and I think that they're of the mindset, like it's more a Nick's band than anyone else's, so I'll just speak relative to at least the way I see it. And like you know, sometimes it's like the hardest part about music is knowing when you're done, you know. And so I think that's like he's kind of they've moved on to a new project, I know, and they've been working on that for a while. And Nick's also the bass player of the Lucid Furs now, so he's got.
Oh, I met him.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's Nick.
Okay,
Nick
so
James.
so him and Dan pretty much moved to the Lucid Furs.
Yeah. So he just joined because Norbert, who is another incredible bass player turned incredible chef, he left and they were just like, well, we need a new fucking bass player, and they ended up asking Nick. And I was like, damn, Dan and Nick are jamming together again. And I got really excited because those two, their vocal harmonies like on that Trigger record are amazing. And like now they got like they were telling me about these crazy 3-part harmonies that they're working on and all this other stuff.
I don't know if they were doing any harmonies because when I went to pick up the posters from Karen, they played one of their new songs for me and Sydney.
Okay.
But I don't think they were doing any crazy harmonies. But
okay.
I'm interested to hear that shit now.
Oh yeah, just wait. And I'm actually really glad that like I'm not like it's not that I'm glad I'm not in Trigger anymore. I'm glad I'm not practicing at the Hive anymore, because we used to practice down the hall from the Furs on the same nights that they'd practice. So I got to hear them write their second album, so that by the time it came out, it was like there's no new material that I hadn't already heard. But now I got this third record to look forward to of songs, none of which I've heard at all.
That's awesome.
I'm so excited.
Fuck. I had a thought in my head. I'm not even high right now, but I've been smoking more weed lately.
I have been doing like the opposite, man. I haven't been smoking a lot of weed lately. It's been getting in my brain too much. Like, I don't know. I've been not 100% sober, but I've been like pretty sober living lately. It's kind of nice. Like, I feel a lot clearer. Like, I don't know. Weed's been making me anxious a lot lately, so yeah, I'll take like a puff here and there, and it's like, I'm good.
Yeah.
Cigarettes though.
I get. Gimme.
Yeah, exactly. Coffee
Yeah.
and cigarettes. That's like my mainstay.
Coffee is my main thing. I've been smoking more weed because Sydney is pretty much like a self-employed photographer now. I mean, she's not making enough money to live on her own yet, but she doesn't have like a traditional job.
Just I want to say a quick thing about Sydney. Of all the people, she has more clout in the music scene than any musician I know.
Right?
And I think that's the craziest shit in the world. But like, man, she is killing it in the game.
Sold 80 books in like a few hours.
Yeah, that's nuts. Like, man, that's good for her, man.
Yeah.
Like, fuck yeah. That's like she's got the fucking work ethic, man. You know, she's got that hunger.
Like crazy. Like she's like a huge perfectionist too. Like
it shows, man. Like her
she'd
quality
be sitting
is
at her computer for like days and like almost in tears. Like, I can't fucking get this. Like I don't know how to do this. Like I don't know how to use this Adobe fucking program. I hate it.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, and then it just figured how to make it work. And the books actually arrived today.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? I think I saw like a little picture or something on Twitter.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, no, I always joke about that with like, with like Dom, like when because we're always talking about like hitting Sydney up for like a photo shoot or something. I'm like, dude, Sydney's like the most famous person I know.
No. She would gladly do a photo shoot for you guys. She loves you guys.
No, I mean, I really appreciate that. I just think it's funny, like just the fact that like of all the musicians I know, Sydney has the most clout out of anyone.
I know.
And it's
dude,
it's so sweet.
Dude, we'll go to Giz shows, and people have walked up to her and gone, "Are you Sydney?" Like
so
the same
sweet.
shit that we do to Giz, where we're like, "Stu, would you sign my record?"
Yeah.
They're like, "I don't have anything for you to sign, but like, I love you. I love your photography. It's really awesome." It's like, it's fucking weird.
Yeah, man, she's got to start like. Does she do prints?
She says she doesn't want to do any poster size prints anymore. I've got to talk to her about it though. I mean, like the stuff she has of like John Dwyer spitting. I fucking love that shit. I don't have any pictures with me right now, but I have like a little postcard sized picture of John Dwyer pinned to my to my 4x10 cabinet.
Oh hell yeah!
Just so I can look back at it and go, okay, that's how you perform. Because anyone that's seen the OCs perform knows John Dwyer's massive amount of energy.
Yeah.
So I try to keep that in mind.
That's still one band I gotta get fresh on, man. The OCs, you guys and Dom have been talking them up like crazy.
Yeah, their recent show at the Beachland Ballroom, which is usually like the place to see them, 500 or maybe more person venues, small venue for how big they are.
Mm-hmm.
No security rails, no really security in general.
How it should be.
Than like an off-duty cop at the door.
Yeah.
Who like doesn't really give a shit. But the recent show there wasn't amazing, but they're also like they're transitioning a little bit, like doing like less heavy psych, like just they're like really experimenting, like like a 20-minute long krautrock song.
Oh, that's
like
sweet.
like the first song on their new album. Like the first instrument, and I'm pretty sure it goes throughout the entire song, is a rubber ducky.
That's hilarious. There's this band called the Coat Hangers, and they have a song called like Squeaky Tiki or something, and the main instrument is a fucking rubber duck. It's so strange. Musicians are weird motherfuckers, man.
Yeah. You've probably already gone over a little bit of this. What are some of your specific plans moving forward with Edison Hollow and or Glass Chimera? Glass Chimera is up in the air right now, so Edison Hollow.
I mean, Glass Chimera is up in the air. It's coming back. We just we gotta put that game plan down.
Yeah.
In both cases, to keep it simple, complete and utter world domination. And yeah, I'm gonna fucking rule this bitch. No.
I was gonna close on that.
Yeah,
that was good.
Yeah, no. Well, I mean, definitely that mentality though. Like, we're all, especially like, I'm gonna just speak on the behalf of Edison Hollow for now. We're all really, really excited. Like, our year is just starting, and with the album release coming up, like, we got 3 to 4 shows every month up until April, and I'm starting to get into April, and May, and the thing that we're gonna talk about here after we get through with this is in June, but just like really fucking hitting this shit hard, and this is a legitimate sit down conversation that I had with them. So I'm a huge fan of the Wu-Tang Clan and like 90s gangster rap in general, but I've been watching that Wu-Tang and a true American saga, and
I'm sad like they stopped partway through the fucking story for this like the end of the first season or whatever the fuck that was.
Wait, did they really? I'm not caught up on it.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, it's like the fucking RZA's like on like a bus back home or something, and then that's like the end of it.
Oh, what?
Or not back home, but I'm pretty sure he was going to Ohio or something, and like I'm not gonna spoil anything for you, but yeah, it's like I was like the whole time I was riveted, just like this is like it's interesting, it's inspiring as hell, and it is. It's cool knowing that it was like put together by the RZA.
Yeah, so that's actually what I'm about to talk about. I had a legitimate ass sit down conversation with my band after watching days worth of fucking YouTube videos and of interviews with like the RZA and shit. And there's a lot of well, not a lot, but there's a few YouTube channels that I follow that do like marketing for like artists and bands and things like that, and like really just like diving into like, because everybody says like RZA had the secret plan, but the secret's like right in front of your face. What they did is they set it up to where everybody was under the Wu-Tang Clan, and Wu-Tang Clan was on one label, but then everybody else, they had the agreement set up so that everybody else could go and branch off and do solo albums but still come back and do Wu-Tang Clan, and everybody was on different record labels. Now, definitely, we're not working on that kind of spectrum now these days. But the idea of like of like I'm kind of going against what everybody is kind of saying these days, and like especially in our music scene, where it's like, oh, you can't put out too much, you don't want to oversaturate yourself or anything like that. And I'm kind of the mind right now, fuck that. So we're gonna drop this album, release a music video shortly after the album comes out, and then we're gonna release 3 singles throughout the rest of the year, and by the next year, all while, because we're well into our second album already, and then by the time next year rolls around, hopefully we'll be able to fund our second record. But like we're also gonna start doing, like, not to give it all away, but you're definitely about to start seeing a lot more content individually from all of us. I'm trying to get them more active on their social media websites, so I think like before I was ever in bands, if you go really deep on my YouTube, or not YouTube, on my fucking Instagram, I was like a drum blogger. And so like I do like, daily fucking licks or whatever, and things like that, and that's kind of how I built like my early following on Instagram. And like getting back to doing that, and I really want to start doing like drum covers and stuff, and like playthroughs of like the Edison Hollow and Glass Chimera tracks, because I always love watching stuff like that. And if there's drum nerds out there that'll watch that might help get them into my music, then more power to them and to me. And Tyler is I'm actually trying to get Tyler to start his own solo project, because he is a killer blues player. He can truly, like, I mean, him and Jordan are both ridiculously talented. Jordan's definitely got that more like classic rock thing going out. But like his thing is also like he's a total gearhead. Him and his dad, like they're all about pedals and amps and stuff like that. So like ideally, the way I see it is like I want Tyler to like do his like bluesy thing, and like post like blues licks for the guitar nerds that like acoustic blues and stuff like that on his Instagram, and we'll share it on our band page and stuff like that, and maybe our YouTube. And then having Jordan, you see that motherfucker's pedal board, it's like this big, that
yeah, it's like
it's a whole thing that needs to be loaded in.
Yeah, it's like, I was gonna say, it's like Kikiyaku Moyo's pedal board.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not trying to trigger you.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. He's like, so I got, these 2 delays, I got this octave pedal, 2 gain pedals. It's insane, but it's great, and I love it. So, like, getting him to get out more and, like, because, like, any band can be a fucking, you see some of these bands around here that are just pandering to, like, one niche thing. Like a big downfall of bands that like came up in like the screamo scene in like 2009 and 2013 is like they did the boy band thing, where it was just like, all right, let's just it was almost like a cash grab of like, let's just get all these chicks into us that like, but then you look at it in the long run, and that didn't really cultivate like a true following.
What's so interesting about that is that like A Day to Remember almost became like a fucking boy band.
But they didn't, because they have one of the most loyal fan bases, myself included, ever.
Do you still listen to them?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I love A Day to Remember. Man,
I haven't listened to any of their music. I guess I just dropped in on like one album. I think it was like Common Courtesy, and I was like, oh, this sounds like...
They were one of the bands that refused to like do the boy band route. They never had like the swoopy hair. Like they just wanted... They took the classic punk band approach to playing easy core music.
I guess I'd miscategorize them in my head. I used to love A Day to Remember. I got into them during Homesick, and I kind of dropped off after the album after that. What Separates Me From You.
Yep. Bad Vibrations got them a number 2 on the Billboard.
Yeah.
Common Courtesy. I do have to say, Common Courtesy was a great record, and I think it was their lawsuit with Victory Records like really fucked up the release of that, but also I think it honestly might have done them good in the long run because people were anticipating it for so long, and like definitely the hype train fell off a little because it took them like 4 years to get it out because they were wrapped up in that lawsuit. But it also, I think that whole situation like helped them carry that music and revitalize the interest in that style when they finally did get the okay to release it.
Almost because it was like a time capsule.
Yeah, exactly. But like it also they had like game-changing shit like wrapped up in it, and it's actually cool. The day they got the call that they were allowed to release the album because their settlement the case had settled in their favor, they were in Sterling Heights, Michigan playing a show.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was there.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. And you want to know what they did? They played almost they were maybe 45 minutes into their set already, and they were like, we just got the okay to release our new album.
And they played it?
They played the entire thing. It was
Holy
sweet.
Fuck.
Yeah, it was for that house party tour, which was a crazy tour. Like their stage setup, like they had a whole like fake house. It was sweet. It was really cool. They had these segue
really
videos.
Nice.
It was really cool. I was with All Time Low and the Wonder Years, both bands that I'm no shame in admitting that I still love.
I've got to listen to them tomorrow during work.
Yeah.
All right.
Bad Vibrations is their heaviest album, but Common Courtesy was also like a really good album.
Yeah, I've got my fucking vinyl of Homesick over there.
It's such a good record, man.
Yeah, that it's poppy, but that's a great record.
Yeah. Oh, hands down.
I'm pretty sure I learned the guitar for pretty much every song on that album.
Yeah. Oh, dude. Let's do a cover set. But so I'm gonna give you a quick recommendation then, and to anybody else, mostly because majority Michigan people are gonna be listening to this, and I hope this doesn't piss off the people that were in this band because they might hear this. There's an easycore band. Well, I don't know if they're very tonally similar to a lot of easycore, like A Day to Remember and stuff like that, but they still have some pretty decent elements of punk. But there's this band called the Swellers from Michigan, and they are amazing. And I've been jamming. They have an album called The Ups and Downsizing, and it's fantastic. I have no doubt in my mind if you like A Day to Remember that you'd love it. Very well written songs. Jonathan, who I believe was the lead singer, him and his brother were in that band with two other cats, whose names I can't remember. I don't know what his brother, the drummer, is doing, but Jonathan is in Baggage now, if you've heard of them.
I thought you meant like Airport Baggage.
No. Baggage the band. They're from around here. Gonna be honest, I'd much rather prefer him to still be in the Swellers, but you know, whatever. Beggars can't be choosers.
Baggers can't be choosers.
Got it.
I feel like that's probably a good note to end this on.
No, yeah, for sure.
It's been a couple hours, I think.
Oh, fuck yeah.
So yeah, plug anything coming up. This
Total
should be out in a week.
Yeah, Total Enslavement of the World. You guys are gonna listen to my music. Edison Hollow and Glass Chimera are two bands you'll be very familiar with, and you have no choice. Deny Everything.
Social media.
Instagram, Facebook, Glass Chimera doesn't have an Instagram. If you want to follow me, I'm the Great Somnambulist, which means sleepwalker, but it's a way cooler word than sleepwalker.
It is.
Edison Hollow on Instagram, Edison Hollow on Facebook, Glass Chimera. Yeah. Deny Everything.